Foundation and aired by the Minnesota Broadcasters Association and this station.
Well, here we are again, and I got to tell you, Jim, this match has me really concerned.
That's right, Ron. In one corner, we have a powerful heavyweight, a train, weighing in at a whopping 6,000 tons. And in the other, this hasty lightweight challenger, a car at just 1.5 tons.
This does not bode well for the car or the people in it.
Ron, this is one of those rare moments where I actually find myself at a loss for words.
This driver can't think he can beat a train.
I can hardly bear to watch.
It's no contest. Every day, people are injured or killed trying to beat a train at rail crossings. Trying to beat a train is more dangerous than you think. See Tracks, Think Train. For more safety tips and information, visit ctracksthinktrain.org.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 57, Thursday sunny with a high near 68, and Friday sunny with a high near 75. Get ready, country fans. Orville Peck is bringing his Stampede Tour to the Armory on June 11th. Experience the bold storytelling of this openly gay country star. Enjoy hits from his latest album, Bronco, with special guests Duran Jones and Debbie Swanson. Listen to the Matt McNeil Show this week for giveaway chances and find the ticket link at am950radio.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. It's producer Haley Cherry here today, taking over with our guest host, Arvina Martin. And this portion of the show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. Host Robert Pilot is out doing something fun, I'm sure. So we've got the Ho-Chunk women in the house today taking over. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, Hana Chini Karagiwi, everybody. I say hello and greet you. I'm practicing my Ho-Chunk. I'm in language 1 for like the 8th time. So
okay.
Yeah.
At least you keep coming back to it, you know, you're not just giving up.
I'm trying. The hardest word for me to say is still Rajra, which is like the name. So like I have to say it really Rajra. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were, our elders spoke slow back in the day. So it's okay if we have to go a little bit slow learning, our original language, but props to you for doing that. And thanks so much for being on Native Roots Radio today with me.
Absolutely. I love being here. So I'm happy to have this Ho-Chunk keynote time, and we'll represent for all the Native ladies out there, Ho-Chunk or otherwise.
Right. All women of tribal nations. And I just want to, remind people who might not know, I feel like, well, probably a lot of people don't know what Ho-Chunk means. And that is the people of the big voice or the sacred voice. So kind of cool that we're on microphones today.
Yeah. And actually, it wasn't until I started taking our language lessons that I found out that we are the only tribe that refers to ourselves by the name of our language.
Oh.
So, a lot of tribes, their name for themselves just means something like the people, and ours refers to our sacred language and how that's part of us. And yes, as far as I know, if there's somebody else out there that has more info or anything, please feel free to correct me, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's great. I know John, President Green Deer, has been on and he explains it all very well. What
Probably who I heard it from.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, so Ho-Chunk Nation is a tribal sovereign nation in the state of Wisconsin, and I'm here in the Twin Cities. As our listeners know, Native Roots is based out of the Twin Cities here in Minnesota. And Arvina, you're out in Madison, Wisconsin, right?
Yes, I live in Madison, Wisconsin, aka Dejope. I know we talked about stuff, but I forgot to mention, they just, the site where a couple of summers ago they found those ancient dugout canoes.
Oh, yeah.
So the Historical Society has been working with them, with the Ho-Chunk Nation, and our Tribal Historic Preservation department, and they did use ground penetrating radar and found that spot in Lake Mendota is the site of a buried village, and where they found probably 11 or 10 or a whole bunch more canoes, including one that is potentially 4,500 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that.
Right?
Which, yeah, I mean, and it makes me think of where are all the other stuff that our ancestors left behind that we still have yet to find?
Yeah, I mean, especially, I guess from what I am to understand, Lake Mendota in Madison is known to be the most studied lake in the world for some, and
Wow.
it's still providing all of these discoveries. And this is, I mean, obviously it's thousands of years old, but the discovery just from somebody finding one object that they were like, this looks like a canoe, and it's turned into a submerged village where there's just going to be so much information and so many things, and the Historical Society is working with the Ho-Chunk Nation on it. So it's good to know that the nation is being included in studying, and what we will learn, it'll be, the nation is a part of it. And I think that that's a step in the right direction when it comes to learning about, sacred sites and ancient sites. And I think that's pretty fabulous.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking too, our oceans. I mean, there's only, I don't know the exact percentage, but single digit has been discovered and researched. And I think that's a good segue into what today is, which is World Environment Day, June 5th. Which
I
is
did that on
cool.
purpose. Totally.
Nice. Radio pros here.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, you and I know that Indigenous peoples make up only 6% of the global population, but yet we protect 80% of Earth's biodiversity. And our knowledge has sustained Mother Earth for hundreds and hundreds of years. And this post coming here from Indigenous Rising, World Environment Day, we recognize that all Indigenous rights, leadership, and traditional knowledge are crucial in addressing the climate crisis and protecting Mother Earth's precious ecosystems, which, I mean, there you have it. I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that academia needs to do some serious catching up with learning about, in an appropriate way, learning about traditional horticulture, traditional, wildlife management. I remember hearing, before the pandemic, there was all those fires. There were all those fires in Australia. And what people found was that the land that was kept according to Aboriginal traditions fared way better than people that did kind of standard, landscaping, yard care for whatever that they do down there. To the extent that buildings were saved, and this traditional knowledge is is valid, and I think we need to pay attention to it more, so that, and listen to the people that know, and we can hopefully use a lot more of those management techniques in ways that are going to be appropriate for the landscapes where we are.
Yeah. I think it's really important that we continue carrying our knowledge and what we know and what we've learned so far from our ancestors and generations going back, because, there's certain things that us as Native Americans believe in. And I know we were just talking about this on was it Monday's show with Dr. Stately, but he had mentioned what would this country, what would this land, what would Turtle Island look like had it not been touched and disrupted the way it was. And, that's hard to say, but it's also like, are we going to have to go back to those ways to end up saving the planet? And if that's what we have to do, that's what everyone's going to have to do, not just only Native Americans, who make up 6% of the population.
Absolutely. I think you're dead on right there. I can't say it better.
Well, let's circle back to Dr. Stately, because he had a little announcement he wanted us to announce on today's show. Yeah. So Dr. Stately, he is the president and executive officer of Native American Community Clinic here in Minneapolis. And he wants us to shout out, they're doing something at the Minneapolis American Indian Center today. So Wednesday, June 5th, right after the show, right after Native Roots Radio is done from 6 to 9 p.m., they will be hosting a pathways to racial equity in Medicaid for American Indian communities.
That is awesome.
Yeah, which is really important. So this is going to be a conversation to inform about the Minnesota Department of Human Services on priorities to improve the health and opportunity of American Indians in our communities. So again, today from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Minneapolis American Indian Center, 1530 East Franklin Avenue, Minneapolis. You can register to reserve your spot at marnitasstable.org. And it is a free event. Dinner is provided and there will be prizes. So all ages are welcome. So show up to the Minneapolis American Indian Center if you're in the area, and go tell them what's up.
And learn about Medicare or Medicaid.
Yeah, Medicaid.
Medicaid. There you go.
All right. You're listening.
Oops, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We got to take a quick break, but don't worry. We'll be right back. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Nation. If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Chuck Manette, owner of Native Concrete and Masonry. With concrete and masonry adding substantial value to your home, it's always a great idea to repair your sidewalks or just add a beautiful new patio. Cracks or heaving in your sidewalks due to tree roots can be dangerous. Native Concrete and Masonry has helped clients across the metro to make their outdoor space safer and helped increase the value to their homes. For patios, sidewalks, driveways, or garage slabs, go to nativeconcretemasonry.com.
For the past decade, Four Sisters Farmers Market has been working to bring healthy and affordable food to Indigenous communities and surrounding neighborhoods. Join the celebration for opening day, June 6th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. They'll have over a dozen vendors, like the new Powwow Grounds food truck, Fry Bread Factory, and music by Afro-Indigenous artist James Harbin. Four Sisters Farmers Market in Minneapolis is opening on Thursday, June 6th from 11 to 3. Discover more on their social media accounts.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this portion of the show is supported by Native Concrete and Masonry. Check out their work at nativeconcretemasonry.com. This is producer Haley Cherry, and I'm here with guest host of the day, filling in for Robert Pilot, Arvina Martin, who is the executive director of Emerge Wisconsin. Thank you so much, Arvina, for being here with us today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
So what is Emerge Wisconsin? Because I know that there's different Emerge organizations across the country. What does Emerge Wisconsin do, and what is it like to work for them?
Yeah, so Emerge Wisconsin is a part of a larger network of organizations called Emerge. And I believe that we have affiliates in 27 states. And basically what we do is train Democratic women and non-binary folks that feel comfortable in female-centered spaces on how to run for office. So this is like candidate training, everything you're going to need to know in about 6 months. And, you learn all the things from knocking on doors to how to get your win number, to how to raise money, to, how to make sure that you've got a good team behind you, and really making sure that you feel that everybody feels really comfortable with the ask that they're going to have to make and the work that they're going to have to do in order to win.
Right. Well, that is so important. I really don't even know of like any other organizations that I guess would train in upcoming politicians or, school board representatives or whatnot, any type of running for election. We just had the 100 years of a really important act. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Is it the Snyder Indian the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924, which granted is, I guess, the right word, citizenship to Native people here living in the United States, which sounds pretty great. Oh yeah, citizenship. But not everybody wanted to be citizens of the U.S. and there were still laws on the books in various states as of 1957 that were written to prevent Native people from voting. So this is not, it's not a surprise that this is one of those things that's like, oh yeah, here we have this great gift for the Native people. And please note that my voice is dripping with sarcasm.
Right.
And, it didn't necessarily turn out that way. And how long it took for Natives to get similar rights. I mean, whether it's actual access to the ballot, to being able to practice our traditional religions without fear of being prosecuted. I mean, that's a First Amendment right, and that didn't pass until, I believe, 1970s or 80s. I'm blanking right now because there was a lot of major legislation that passed around those 2 decades.
Sure.
But it's wild to think about. You think that having citizenship is the end all be all, but as we see getting rights kind of like trickled down until we get some semblance of the same rights, it's not super great.
Right. Well, and women as a whole got the right to vote right before Native Americans got the right to vote, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah. Well, and even back then, like when we would get, the checks and stuff, we couldn't even they couldn't take their own checks and deposit that, right? Because people were seeing, Native Americans as incompetent to handle money and stuff like that.
Also, I'm pretty sure that it was illegal, or like it wasn't legal for a woman to have her own bank account that was not joint with her husband until the 70s.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
there seems to be a lot of patriarchy and colonialism surrounding banking.
Yeah, which, we're just not used to, coming from our matriarch societies in our Native communities, which I mean, it reminds me of a statistic I was looking at here for this is coming from Indian Country Today, and it talks about the Native vote for 2024 by the numbers. And there are going to be 140 Indigenous candidates running for election in 2024 in a total of 23 states. And get this, so 58% identify as women and only 40% identify as men. So we do have more Indigenous women leaders that are currently stepping up to, lead. And I think that says a lot about who we are.
Absolutely. And I think about even if you go back within the history of our tribe, the Ho-Chunk Nation, if you look at the picture of the first business council, the first tribal chair was a woman, Helen Minor Miller. And
Right.
and then in the 90s, when we changed our constitution and it formally changed from the Winnebago or the Winnebago of Wisconsin, and we changed legally to the Ho-Chunk Nation and changed our whole governmental structure, our first president was Joanne Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that our communities do, respect the leadership of everybody, to a certain extent. That's not to say that there aren't issues with patriarchy or sexism, but it isn't uncommon in our communities to see tribal legislators or council members or executives that are women, and that's kind of normal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think too, it brings up like some of our really probably well-known leaders across Turtle Island that I think of, like Minnesota's Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and then Ho-Chunk, Sharice Davids, she represents Kansas, right, and Congresswoman. And that's, two really big powerhouse leaders right there. And I want to get this out here too. This is from Illuminative, and there will be a streaming panel featuring those two, Rep. Sharice Davids and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, on Tuesday, June 11th at 9:45 a.m. And this conversation will be just talking about Native visibility and power building, and really just reflecting on how far they've come since 2018.
Yeah. Illuminative does such great work with advocacy and bringing out issues that are important to Indian country, especially to younger folks in Indian country. And they're doing a really great job of engaging folks, native and non-native. I get excited when some of my non-native friends will see something posted, by a group like Illuminative and send it to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're and following and
right. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So, and that should be a really great training, and anybody who is interested in any kind of organizing should kind of go and participate in that particular Zoom or the presentation that they're doing. Get an idea of what it's like to organize for change in your communities, and to know that we as Native people might do it a different way than other communities do. And that's also part, like we were talking about before with like traditional knowledge, is we need to be able to do these things in ways that are authentic to our communities and not put in a just like a just one of those like boilerplate teams or boilerplate plans. Sorry, brain stopped working there for a second thinking about organizing. It's so much to talk about.
Well, and a lot goes into it too. So, my mind would be totally, and that reminds me too, we were talking with Representative Heather Keeler. She represents one of our rural districts, but it's not like rural. It's kind of, a bigger town of Moorhead, which is a little bit north of the Twin Cities here. And we had in our House and Senate here at the end of this session here in Minnesota, it was, I don't know if you saw any of the videos, Arvina, but it was pretty rowdy and, a little bit scary on how some people reacted in the other parties. I'll just say that. But the mental health and like taking care of yourself is got to be so important when you're in a position like that.
Oh, absolutely. And that is something that people are realizing more these days. When I first started working in politics, it was considered a badge of honor to have been hospitalized during like the last week or two of a campaign because you just pushed yourself so hard your body just stopped working. And
Wow.
that, we thankfully have been moving away from that kind of thing and understanding, no, like this does not have to be everything you do all of your waking hours. You need to take care of yourself. You need to have your time to rest, and like the union folks said back in the day, 8 hours to work, 8 hours for rest, and 8 hours to do with what you choose, and it's wild that we have to remember that we need to take that time for ourselves, but we absolutely do. Otherwise, your career in organizing and or politics will be short-lived because your body will just stop.
Yes, always. Yeah, take care of yourself because then you can't help anyone else. But
exactly.
We got to take another quick break. You're listening to Native Roots Radio. It's Haley Cherry with a guest host, Arvina Martin. Stay with us.
We are Alusa Nation.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, I'm Chuck Manette, owner of Native Concrete and Masonry. Whether it's cracks in your existing sidewalks, steps, chimney restoration, or a whole new project, you can trust our team to ensure satisfaction through detailed planning and precision. Native Concrete and Masonry is a Native American-owned business, and we have worked with our clients throughout the Twin Cities metro area. We work closely with our clients to accomplish our initiatives. Learn more at nativeconcretemasonry.com.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
For the past decade, Four Sisters Farmers Market has been working to bring healthy and affordable food to Indigenous communities and surrounding neighborhoods. Join the celebration for opening day, June 6th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. They'll have over a dozen vendors, like the new Powwow Grounds food truck, Fry Bread Factory, and music by Afro-Indigenous artist James Harbin. Four Sisters Farmers Market in Minneapolis is opening on Thursday, June 6th from 11 to 3. Discover more on their social media accounts.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
Dive into a world where tradition meets innovation, satire meets symbolism, and Native American art takes center stage. All My Relations Arts and the Native American Community Development Institute proudly unveil Alter Native by Frank Buffalo Hyde. Alter Native is an electrifying exhibition that uses satire to push boundaries and demand a closer look at the vibrant complexities of Native identity in today's world. So embrace the unexpected and challenge norms with Alter Native by Frank Buffalo Hyde, showing now at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 57, Thursday sunny with a high near 68, and Friday sunny with a high near 75. Nightingale in Minneapolis is your perfect neighborhood gathering spot. Treat your taste buds to their famous Nightingale burger and fries, roasted duck breast, or try their unique offerings like the roasted broccoli bruschetta and smoked chicken liver plate. Can't stay? No problem, as Nightingale offers convenient takeout orders. More at nightingalempls.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis. It's producer Haley Cherry, and I'm here with guest host Arvina Martin, stepping in for Robert Pilot. And Arvina is the executive director of Emerge Wisconsin. Thanks again, Arvina, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, we were just talking voter stuff in the last segment. And is there anything else that you wanted to touch on? I just want to remind our listeners out there that you were the first ever Native American elected to the City Council of Madison.
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing there's a couple things that I want to kind of highlight. One is that, there's a lot of Native people that don't want to get involved in elections or politics outside their tribe because they say, this is my government. And that is absolutely valid. I would just, ask folks to think about, the fact that you have an opportunity to elect people to work with your tribal governments. And having that opportunity to pick who your tribal governments are going to be working with is a really big deal. And you can help elect people that will work with tribes and that will respect tribal governments as peer governments to theirs, and will understand the issues that are important to us in our communities. The other thing I want to say is that this is going to be a really close election. I think I was checking during the break, and I believe that Wisconsin was decided by about 15,000 votes. That is not 12. Okay. My source here says in 2020 that the presidential election was decided on a margin less than 12,000 votes. Okay. And they also estimate there to be about 91,000 Native voters in Wisconsin. We can absolutely have it make a difference and show up on election day and again, choose people that are going to work with our communities and work with our governments to make things better for all of us and to listen to us. And when we go out and vote, that is the ultimate, feedback that we can give them, give to our elected officials, the confidence to have them work for us, whether they're getting elected or reelected, or, the ability to say, hey, nope, I don't think you're the guy. Right. So yeah, so those are the two big points about voting I like to mention. So
yeah. Well, were you on? Well, when did the orange one get his all of his counts handed to him? That was this week, right?
No, last week.
Last week.
Time has no meaning. We know this.
Right.
It does seem like it was like yesterday, and you can't be a felon and like our tribal elections, you can't be tribal president and be a felon, right?
Right. That's what I thought. And I had to do some serious listening and some research on, I guess you can be a felon and run for federal government, which is, blows my mind, but
I feel like it must be what that is like one of the urban legends that we were all taught. Like growing up, oh, if you're a felon, you can't be president. Oh, George
Yeah.
Washington chopped down a cherry tree. Like these old
Right.
stories that everybody now is like, wait a second.
Yeah. It's like you grow up and they just change all the rules on you. You're like, what?
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm hoping it's not a close election, but we'll wait and see, and we're gonna keep doing the work.
Yep. And that's why we got to get out and make sure everybody does get out to vote. Because to be absolutely clear, the Democrats want more people to vote. And Democrats are confident that when everybody goes to vote, Democrats win elections. Republicans trying to get people to not vote, whether it is having people or shady organizations that are very loosely affiliated to, sending things out saying, oh no, vote tomorrow or vote next week instead, or which you hear of from time to time. But, or trying to slam mail-in voting or trying to actively take away, places where people can get IDs so that they can go vote, making the ballot inaccessible,
Yeah.
So,
Especially the whole inaccessible thing, and like providing voting locations to Indigenous peoples who live on the reservation, which, most reservations are secluded, or, it takes, it's a long drive to get into a town or a city where they're going to have voter polls.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and that is a problem that happens with rural folks all over the country too,
right. Yeah.
And it's not like if you live up north in Wisconsin, it's real easy to go get a new driver's license from the DMV, because how far away is it?
Right.
So, it's wild.
I like NACD's saying, you've heard that, right? Make voting a tradition.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Bring your aunties, bring your gagas and your chokas, your grandmas and your grandpas, and get the whole family out there.
I have a picture of my daughter who was at the time, 2-3 months old, and going out to vote for Barack Obama, and taking a picture with her. Yeah, and being like, we voted today. She was just a little nugget. But
yeah, I remember when Barack Obama was elected. Like, I have the vivid memory of my mom waking me up, after it was like, must have been late at night or something on a school night, because I was sleeping, and I just remember getting woken up and like celebrating, like it was, a really big thing.
Yes. And the other thing I want to mention about voting nostalgia is that I remember going when my parents would go to vote, and I have to say that I'm a little jealous that I never got to vote in those machines where you had to like pull down a lever, and you got to go into a booth that had like a curtain. And
I
it
remember
was
that.
all very like mysterious, and I thought it was illegal to tell people who you voted for.
Yeah, me too. Now that you say that, I have all these memories coming back. That's funny you bring that up, because what did the last election, or what I just voted for, it was the same thing. I walked in there and, everyone is like, there's no curtains. It's just not, people are very open about it now compared to back in the day.
Absolutely. But we get stickers now too, which is pretty cool. And I save all my stickers. And, we had the Ho Chunk Nation ones that said, I believe it said I voted in Ho Chunk. So like Hija Haicha, I believe is how you pronounce it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was pretty stoked about that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, what else is going on? We've got Pride Month. What's going on? Are you doing anything for that? Does Wisconsin do a big Pride Fest?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot. So Milwaukee does their Pride Fest. That's going to be starting up pretty soon. It's always a good time with a lot of speakers and the parade, performers, and just a lot of fun times. I've never had a bad time at Pride in Milwaukee. It's just positivity and happiness.
Yeah.
And I know that there's going to be a lot more Pride events all over Wisconsin. Madison tends to do our Pride later in the summer and call it, I don't know if we still call it Fruit Fest, but that's what it used to be called.
Okay.
So yeah. So Madison's will likely be later this summer. And, it's kind of a nice start to festival season where you get to go out and listen to new musicians, local musicians, and see the like handicrafts and things that people make that your neighbors make. And it's kind of like going shopping at a powwow.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what it reminds me of too.
Yeah.
I mean, Minneapolis has Pride Fest at Loring Park this month, Saturday and Sunday, June 29th and 30th. And I know Native Roots Radio will be going live out there Saturday for 1 hour. And hopefully we're going to be having Dr. Stately come on and Robert Lilligren of NACD. And then New Native Theater. I want to shout out New Native Theater. Will also be out there marching with us. We're all going to march together in really cute outfits, I'm sure. And then, but yeah, New Native Theater is, I believe this year is their 3rd annual or maybe 4th. I can't remember. Their Two-Spirit powwow that they host here.
I was going to ask about that. I've always wanted to go and I've never been able to. When did you say when it was, or
do you mean Pride Fest here or the Two-Spirit powwow?
The Two-Spirit powwow. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. That'll be in July. So July 13th, if you're going to be around to travel.
Yeah, that would be super fun. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's awesome seeing, more LGBTQ Two-Spirit representation in our events. And our media and arts and everything. And obviously I don't know about the traditions of all of our communities, but there's so many of our communities that have that respect for folks who are LGBTQ or Two-Spirited. And it makes me happy to see that there's so many people going back to those traditions.
Right.
And knowing that hatred is not part of who we are,
Right. Well, and like when we talk about it being, I know like people say, oh, it's so unnatural and this and that. But then when you look back on Native cultures and Native history and even just, plants and things alive in nature with a spirit, I mean, this is showing up. It's not an anomaly, it's very natural in a lot of species, actually. And I know we have a minute left here, but maybe when we come back, we can explain a little bit more for our listeners, because I always have to kind of redefine this term, but what Two-Spirit is.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right. Well, we're here with Arvina Martin, the executive director of Emerge Wisconsin, and producer Haley Cherry, who's co-hosting today. And we're both filling in for Robert Pilot. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be right back after this quick break. Stay with us.
We are Elusive Nation.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Dive into a world where tradition meets innovation, satire meets symbolism, and Native American art takes center stage. All My Relations Arts and the Native American Community Development Institute proudly unveil Alter Native by Frank Buffalo Hyde. Alter Native is an electrifying exhibition that uses satire to push boundaries and demand a closer look at the vibrant complexities of Native identity in today's world. So embrace the unexpected and challenge norms with Alter Native by Frank Buffalo Hyde, showing now at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
Do you have a personal financial goal like buying a car, starting a business, saving for college, or investing for retirement? Whatever your goal is, you need a plan. It might seem overwhelming, but like physical fitness, you can gradually improve your financial health step by step. Start by creating a spending plan, improving your credit score, opening a bank account, or finding a trusted advisor. Not sure where to start? Visit mn.gov/commerce/money for more.
For the past decade, Four Sisters Farmers Market has been working to bring healthy and affordable food to Indigenous communities and surrounding neighborhoods. Join the celebration for opening day, June 6th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. They'll have over a dozen vendors, like the new Powwow Grounds food truck, Fry Bread Factory, and music by Afro-Indigenous artist James Harbin. Four Sisters Farmers Market in Minneapolis is opening on Thursday, June 6th from 11 to 3. Discover more on their social media accounts.
Anine, I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
I never said it. I start making the noise and then I get self-conscious and I start laughing.
Oh no, Arvina, your wolf howl is great. Hey,
dear.
Well,
dear.
I'm Haley. We're here with Arvina Martin of Emerge, Wisconsin, and we're just talking about, I don't know, kind of everything today. It's just the two of us Ho-Chunk women holding down the fort, and it's been really fun.
Absolutely. I'm super glad to be here, and I like it when we get our girl time.
I know. That's what I said yesterday on the show. I was like, Robert's like, you guys gonna miss me? I'm like, well, of course, Daga. We're always gonna need our host, but the girl time is, can't go without it.
It's kind of nice if I do so myself.
Yes. Okay. Well, we were talking about Pride because it's Pride Month. So want to wish everyone out there happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. And we're going to talk Two-Spirit because that's an Indigenous term that we use, or some of us identifying as that use. And I don't know. What do you know about it?
As far as I know, the term Two-Spirit kind of came about like within the last 25-ish years, maybe. And as a way that to describe, somebody who doesn't necessarily identify in the gender binary or as straight, and see sexuality and gender perhaps more on a spectrum, and having or just having that it makes more sense in a Native worldview. But granted, just because of my rambling, I don't know if this is all very apocryphal or if this is like based in fact, but that's kind of what I've heard.
Yeah. Well, that's great information. And I ask because I just think so many people, like, I get questions on it a lot. What is Two-Spirit? What does that mean? Is it only an Indigenous term? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And it is only an Indigenous term, and, not to be appropriated with anyone else, but this is coming from Jerica Fountain Designs on Instagram. And I had to save this because, really, this is a good definition, and however you want to define it, I feel like it varies, as I say. So Two-Spirit varies in what it refers to. The phrase coming from Anishinaabe term Nis Maniduwang. Sorry, I'm not Ojibwe, so I probably did not pronounce that right. But that directly translates to two spirits. And the initial intent in coining the term was to differentiate Indigenous concepts of gender and sexuality. So pretty much, what you said. And they're saying it's used to describe Native people who fulfill a traditional third gender, Indigenous people who identify as having both a masculine and a feminine spirit, describe Indigenous gender identities, and use an umbrella term for queer Indigenous people. Two-Spirit is commonly used as an umbrella term for various identities, but it is ultimately a pan-Native term, meaning it exclusively refers to Indigenous people. So I think that's a great definition, and hopefully provides, whoever needs it with a little bit more knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. And there was a musician who is a straight white guy. No, he's not straight. I apologize. No, a musician who was white, who described himself, I think maybe even in a Rolling Stone article, as two-spirit. And boy, did he have to deal with, I can't remember what his name is. He's somebody that is like, very inoffensive, and like nobody expects would ever have a scandal, but here he appropriated this identity that was not his to take. And I think he very publicly learned a lesson about appropriation in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's important to talk about it and kind of educate people in a friendly way about what that is. I also want to mention too, on our last segment with a few minutes left here, tomorrow in Minneapolis is NACD, Native American Community Development Institute. Their Four Sisters Farmers Market opens back up, which is it's just a huge event that goes on all throughout the summer in June and goes throughout the October months here. It takes place on the American Indian Cultural Corridor on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. The exact address is 1414 East Franklin Avenue. But, the Four Sisters Farmers Market is just amazing. I want to give a shout out to Destiny Jones, who is a Ho-Chunk, and she comes from the Funmaker family. She is running that market, and she's doing an amazing job at it. And opening day is tomorrow, June 6th, from 11 to 3 p.m. Myself and Robert will be there, as we usually are every Thursday. But it's a fun place to be seen. And I mean, really, you run into so many people that work in the Native community, and it's just a really great time. Hopefully when you're in town, hopefully, Arvina,
what does the farmers market happen again?
Every Thursday at 1414 East Franklin Avenue, Minneapolis.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put that into my considerations. I wish we had something similar in Madison. It sounds like a great place to do the shopping that you need to do, so like getting some errands done, but then you also get to build community and reinforce those bonds with the people that and care about. And how lovely.
It is. I actually have been waiting all year for this to kick back up. So I'm actually really excited. And it's just a great place to, hang out with your friends and be outside. It takes place outside. So usually it's rain or shine, but I mean, there's Powwow Grounds Coffee Shop, which is right there too, which is kind of like the little cafe that everyone comes to when they come to the Minneapolis area from out of state. And of course, NACD's offices are there. So the whole NACD crew is there, and it's fun. There's healthy food vendors. We're going to be vending there with Native Roots Arts once a month. So we'll come out and get some cool t-shirts and hats.
Oh, I saw that Bring Your Ass hat.
Oh yeah, the Bring Your Ass. That is from our printer company that we use. They were really hot on getting those out right away.
Those are hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right? Too bad the Wolves. I mean, what an ending, but they came so far.
Yeah, I mean, get that far is pretty great. So Bucks didn't get that far. So way to go, T-Wolves. Do you guys call them T-Wolves? Or did I just make that up?
No, T-Wolves. That's a big, that's something we say for sure.
Okay.
I also want to mention too, Red Lake Nation Tribal College's Minneapolis campus is having their grand opening tomorrow, Thursday, June 6th from 2 to 4 p.m. So I'm imagining that is pretty close. I thought I had the direct address, but come hang out at the farmers market and then head over to the opening. I know Representative Heather Keeler will be speaking and sharing a few words. So I mean, I've seen a few pictures in the college. It's just a very urban environment, and it's beautiful. It overlooks the skyline and everything.
Oh, how cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, we have, about 2 minutes left. Arvina, is there anything else that you wanted to get out to our listeners? Again, I just want to say a big Pina Gigi for coming on today.
Yes, Thank you for having me. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about the American Indian or the Indian Citizenship Act and the 100th anniversary, the WISDEMs are doing a presentation at 6:30. If you look it up, I don't have the link on me.
I could post it. I'll post it in our show's Facebook comments.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's starting in half an hour. So if you are not in the Twin Cities to go to the Medicaid conversation, you should definitely come and listen to us talk about the ramifications of the American Citizenship Act.
Definitely. Yeah, it's important stuff to know. So thanks again, Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, for being here. I am producer Haley Cherry, and I've been co-hosting, and it's been so fun. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be back tomorrow with Robert Lilligren and Bob Blake, and host Robert Pilot will be back as well. We need to resist, divest, join a group, or run for office. Vote and free Leonard Peltier. Now.
Before you take your vehicle out on that summer road trip, take